Hey, 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 come on in, come on in. Come on in, come on in. Uh-oh. Come on in. Listen, I want to know, I'm trying to do a temperature check. I've been hearing about these checks being cut, potentially being cut this year underneath the Trump administration. And there's some kind of details that I learned about the whole plan. And I wanted to share with you all what I learned and kind of get your thoughts on it to see if you think this will happen based off of what I'm learning as far as like the background details. Hey, Yvonne, welcome. Y'all, please hit the like button as you come on in. I'm glad you're in. You can moderate. Hopefully it doesn't get crazy in here. Y'all know my chat's been crazy lately. Wasn't too bad today. If you didn't catch the live today, check out my live I did this morning. But y'all, if you know, you know, it can get crazy in my chats. Come on in. I wanted to just talk about the tax refund checks that the Trump administration is talking about delivering to the American people. But there was like a caveat that I found as far as who would qualify for it, as far as underneath the taxpayer category. And I wanted to just share that just to make sure that people knew that part. Because they said, you know, it was about $55 billion that was found, that was money that that shouldn't went out the door. So of the 55 million, the Trump administration, Elon and all of them, they were called out on that number not being exactly accurate and it being more like around 8 million, like some rate, a much lower number. So aside from that, it's questionable on the amount of money that actually has been discovered or saved. That number is changing. On the high end, they're saying 55 billion, but on the low end, they're saying maybe 8 million. So that's a pretty big difference with the number. So there's that. Of the monies that's saved, they're like, okay, well, 20% of the monies that we found that was just, we deemed as to be frivolous spending, 20% of that we'll give back to the people. And then another 20% we'll just put back into, I guess, the government and just making things better. Okay. Of this 20% that would get paid out, this would impact about 70 million people. 70 million. So a question I had that came to mind earlier when I was on my live, and I think Yvonne, she's my mod, she mentioned about, the 5,000 going to each person. A question I had that popped in my mind, and some of you all may have had the same question. If you live in a household and there's multiple people who are paying tax. So say you're married, my husband and I are both working people, we pay taxes, we file our tax jointly. Is it 5,000 per person or is it 5,000 per household? So that was a question I had. So tonight, from listening to someone kind of break it down, just kind of more of like a financial advisor guy, he was saying that it would be 5,000 per household. It's a household. So if you are in a 2-income household, if you have a partner, you all pay taxes and you file them together, it would be just 5,000 for your household. So there's that. The second part I learned is that not every taxpayer would qualify to get a refund check, because meaning that people who make like the lower amount of money. So I didn't know it. It's been so long since I was like a really super low wage earner. But what's sad is that people who don't make like a lot of money right now, like the people who are really, really in need, they don't pay federal taxes. Let me know if this makes sense to y'all, if y'all ever heard anything like this. They don't pay federal taxes. So because they don't pay federal taxes, they would not be entitled to receive the tax return check, because I guess they're justifying you getting this money back because of the monies you've paid into the federal tax. So apparently what they're saying is that lower earners don't pay into federal taxes. I guess they pay just state. I don't know, child. But this is what I learned tonight, which prompted me to go live to bring this out here to just try to see what you all may know, or is to see if this is your understanding. So that means that even of those 70 million, I guess, people, they're saying that there's like 100 and something, like a big number of people within that 70 million who would not qualify to receive the check. So there's that. So the question is, do you believe that we will see this check? Also, it was brought to my attention that apparently, I guess this whole thing would have to be approved. So there's checks and balances. So it would have to go to the House, the Senate. And what they were saying is that it's largely like Democrat people in those seats. And those people are not going to be here to support those checks being cut to go out to the people. That when I say those people, the Democrats who are sitting in those seats, they're not going to be here for doing that. They're not going to be here for doing anything that's going to make the Trump administration look good. So the question is, do you think the check is going to get cut for all these reasons? Because remember, it's questionable on the total amount of money. It's questionable on the total amount of money that's found anyway. So there's that. Then it's questionable on who's going to qualify to get these checks. There's that. And then you still have to get it approved. You still have to go through that process to get it approved. So it's these things, these obstacles that we have to overcome to even get to the point to have the check cut. I was in the comments on some of the videos and trying to do a temperature check to see what people were feeling, what their thoughts were. And a lot of people are here for just getting a credit on their taxes. Like, okay, just give me a credit. So let's just say if it is $5,000, just give me a credit, on my taxes for $5,000. Because technically, it's like, I guess you're getting the money anyway. It's just being applied, let's just say, to your bill, a credit on your account. Some believe that, these checks going out is a good idea because most people aren't going to be spending the money. They'll sit on it, they'll hold it, they'll save it. I'm not necessarily sold on that thought that that's what people are going to do with a $5,000 check. I think the money would definitely be spent because I think there's a lot of people who have debt, who have bills that are piling up and they don't have the money to pay them. So if suddenly they get this $5,000 check in the mail or deposited account, however they get it, I don't think that many Americans are in a situation to just let the $5,000 sit in an account and just let it collect interest. I don't know. To me, that part doesn't make sense from what I've come to see, what the climate is for our economy. What's up, Angie? Welcome. Hello. She said, hey, honor students. Hello. Oranges says Trump 2025. So it's a lot. It sounds good. I haven't gotten really excited yet about the checks because it's an idea to me right now. It's an idea. And how many of you all saw Elon's interview he did today at they call it the CPAC? It was a pretty good interview. It was about 30 minutes. Angie says, this discussion about the 5,000 stimulus. Yes, it is. I was just sharing about, some things that I was learning about the parameters centered around it. And my question is, do you believe that it's going to happen? So again, Elon was at the CPAC that's in, I don't know if that's in Florida. They hold that in Florida, but it's like a 30-minute, 35-minute interview that he did. So he was on stage and he talked about, his life. A lot of people don't like him, so they asked him, like, how do you feel about people coming for you? Are you fearful of your life? And he's like, it's bad when you get a call from the president of El Salvador talking about, sir, are you safe? Yeah, because remember, he the one over that prison system that he said, listen, Trump, if you need somebody to hold some fools, you can send them over here, and for a fee, we can house them. And if any of y'all seen any of my shorts that I put out there lately, make sure you follow me on TikTok, because last night I got happy and was putting out these different short videos on TikTok. So you can follow me on TikTok. Chic Speaks on it. And I also have a TikTok account on Chic Speaks, but follow me over there. But I talked about, El Salvador and their prison and how that is not where you want to go. So the president of El Salvador basically has concern about Elon Musk's life because he sees that he's not a liked man. So he was like, listen, what's your security looking like? Because I know if I ain't liked, I know they ain't trying to F with you on that type of level. So Elon, he kind of laughed about it or whatever, but, it is something, he is aware that a lot of people are like coming for his head. Like he knows that, but he's not fearful to stop doing what he's out to do. He talked about just as a child, growing up in South Africa, he was into comic books, watching American shows. It just seemed like he really became engulfed into like the American culture. And he respected our nation because he felt like our nation was about helping other people, being the good guys. So he said that kind of motivated him and inspired him to want to kind of move, with that type of sense of wanting to be a good guy. So that's what he's out here doing. He said, he talked about, I think he said in Europe, just for creating memes, you can go to jail. So he really believes in, freedom of speech, being able to say what you want to say, move how you will, as long as you're not breaking any laws, hurting anybody. So he's here for that. So anyone or anything that's against that, then that's when he's going to have a big voice to let you know how he feel about it and use his money and resources to make it do what it do. So he's not fearful, but like I said, he is aware that he is not a favorite person, but he also knows that he does have a lot of supports backing him because of the meaning behind all that he's out to do, which is to put more money into the pockets of the American people. It was funny because the guy who was interviewing him was like, you're the richest person I know that cares the least about money. That's what the guy says. So the guy's impression, he believes that Elon just doesn't even care about money like that. He's just real, like just simple like that. And I think it just comes down to sometimes, you have people who they have so much money and they've had it for so long to where it don't really feel the same. It's nothing new. It's like, you ain't new to this, you true to this. You know how like if me come across a bunch of money overnight, it's going to be a little different for me because it's something that I didn't have before. Elon has been uber rich since forever, for a really long time. So I can see how he can move kind of in a way to where it's almost like he's like, whatever, because it's nothing to him, $5 million for him is probably like 50 cents, when you think about what his net worth is. So right now he say, he really respects President Trump and feels that President Trump is about trying to protect the American people. And what he's doing is just that. Let's see. Angie R says, oh, no, you don't want to go to El Salvador. Nah, I know you don't want to go to El Salvador. And I hope most people here know that's not what you want. So definitely you need to kind of be on your P's and Q's, because that's definitely not what you want. And there is an offer on the table presented to President Trump for people who break the law to come on over there, come on over to the dark side and experience the El Salvadorian prison system. Listen, I say life's about choices. So if that's not what you want, you need to move that way. It's not that deep. If that's not what you want, you need to move that way. Angie, you said, I agree with Elon on freedom of speech. We may not like what people say, but we cannot censor speech. I agree. And it seems like, I know, like I said, I talked about before how I visited Cuba right before, I think in 2018. I visited Cuba, and that's where I learned that over there, those people don't have the freedom of speech. They can't even watch what they want to watch on TV or listen to whatever they want to listen to, or watch on the internet. Like, it's very governed. And so that's what I learned about, that country when I went on a trip over there. And I didn't like the sound of that. I don't know who does, but think about it. If this is all you know and your whole life has been censored in a way, you don't know any different. So I don't think collectively those people probably feel as strongly about the censorship and being held down and suppressed in a way in which we view it, because they never experienced anything else. So what they say, you don't miss what you ain't never had, right? So those people, that's just the experience that they've had. And for the American people, we're coming from a place to where we've always had the freedom. So for us to start experiencing things that have us to be getting removed further and further away from that's a whole problem, because we know what freedom feel like. So we like, that's not what I want. I want what I'm used to having, which is the freedom to be able to speak my mind, whether I'm verbally saying it or whether I'm, typing it out, put it on the internet. Like, it's the freedom to be able to do that, because that's what our country has been built on for many, 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 many years, long before any of us were here. So the idea of moving away from that is an entire problem for people. It's an entire problem for people. I believe that most people here will agree with that. But you have some people to where they don't really do well with change, as far as with, like, right now we're dealing with a lot of change with this political administration, with trying to do things differently for the purpose of moving away from that, where somebody is trying to censor us. Because for the last, I don't know, probably at least the last 4 years since, Biden has been, in office, we were moving away from the freedom part. And even it started kind of probably happening when Trump was in the office his first term, where the nation was trying to move away from the freedom part. And then, Trump was removed from office, Biden got in, and then it kind of went back to that full force of kind of being removed away from that freedom of speech part. And then, Trump was like, listen, that's not what we on. That's not the type of time we on. So now that there is a new sheriff in town, this is how we going to do things. So effective immediately, we going to do X, Y, and Z. And there are a lot of people here for it. And then there are a lot of people that aren't. Angie says, exactly, she choose your direction. Yes, we can choose our direction. And if something doesn't work for you, you can pick up and move around and go into an environment that does work for you. But I truly believe that our nation, our country, is the most free of them all. So if you ain't liking the experience here in the USA, I really don't think that you're going to really like the experience like that in Cuba, in El Salvador, in Africa, in any of these other countries, because those environments are heavily controlled. They're heavily controlled. They're controlled in a way that things aren't controlled here, which is why there's a long line of people fighting, pushing, pulling, trying to get into our country, even willing to risk it all to come over here illegally. There's a reason why people want to do that. So I get it. I completely understand why people want to come over here for all these reasons that I just talked about, which make our nation the best nation of the land. But again, it's just how you do it. It's just the way that you do it, because you want to make sure you do things on an up and up, so someone can't come along and snatch it from up and underneath you. Don't you We normally get some type of like peace of mind and solace when we feel like we went about something in the right way. You already know, okay, can't somebody come along and try to take this from me, because I know I went about it the right way. I didn't steal it, I bought it, I got my receipts, I went through the proper channels. Like, that's a good feeling to know that the things you have, the things you've done, you went about it in the right way. So you can kind of sleep at night. But when you know that you did not go about it in the right way, then that's when people start spazzing, they start reacting, they start doing the absolute most, because now it's just almost like, oh my God, the cover is being pulled from over me, like I'm getting exposed. And I believe that most people don't like the feeling of just hiding, feeling like they got to be underneath the radar. But I think sometimes people spend so much time being in that position to where they almost become immune to it and get comfortable with it. Hence why now, even with the immigration stuff going on, there are many people, immigrants, who've been over here many, many years and had a lot of times to kind of get their ducks in a row, but did not do it because they got comfortable in just stand under the radar. Like, I don't want to do that. Or maybe if I go downtown and go do this, it'll put me in the system and I may have to start paying into this system that I'm benefiting for. They may want me to start paying taxes. They may want me to no longer be able to get food stamps or, get these benefits that I'm getting because of my citizenship or my status. So let me just leave it as is. Kind of like, y'all, some people will move from one state to another and they don't go get their driver's license, their ID and all of that changed over because they don't want to be inconvenienced to go to change all that over. Also pay the money to have all that changed over. And also, sometimes people get certain perks in certain states for having certain things. So if they move, it's just like, oh, snap, I lived in California, now I'm in Georgia. If I register under Georgia, I'm not going to get this benefit that I was getting when I was in the system as a California resident. So let me just leave that there. I say all that to say that sometimes that's what happens. People just get comfortable in their current situation. And even though they know there's certain things they need to do from a legal standpoint for things to be right, they will not do it. They will not do it because they don't look at it as a benefit at that time for them. And I feel like a lot of the immigrants, that's a thought they had. They felt like it wasn't a benefit for them to go at that time to go and do what they needed to do to get the proper documentations to be able to stay over here because of these little benefits and things that they were getting because they weren't listed as actual American citizens. Listen, like it's sometimes you got to go deep and really think about the whys behind why some stuff is popping off, because a lot of stuff don't make sense. So you're like, what is going on? And to me, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, while there has been so many illegals over here and still just operating just in the illegal manner versus going and try to get their ducks in a row. Now, they working on, a lot of them are working on getting their ducks in a row, because I talked about a couple of weeks ago when I took my daughter to get her learner's permit at the local DMV, it was super crowded in there. And 90% of the people, probably 95% of the people in there being serviced were of the Hispanic community. They were trying to get their ducks in a row. So it's just like, my. So that means that you've always had the ability to line your stuff up to make sure that you had your driver's license, your ID, or your registration. You always had the ability to do this, but you felt like, well, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary to be in the system, to be tracked. It wasn't necessary. But now, since, the ICE is rolling up on folks, they're like, oh, snap, I got to get my papers in order. I got to get my papers in order because they really coming for us. And I don't want to be out there, stuck out there with my pants down. And they talking about, okay, can you show me your license, your register? Can you show me something? And you like, So yes, like you've seen people of all, you've seen, the teenagers in there. You seen middle, all age ranges of people from the Hispanic community at that DMV trying to handle their business, trying to do things that they should have already done probably years prior, but they didn't do it. But now they doing it expeditiously. Listen, normally my DMV don't be sold up like that, y'all. You can get in and out. I love it. But when I went that day, when I seen the parking lot before I even went into the place, I'm like, what's going on here? Because it didn't hit me. My husband said when he saw the cars, it instantly hit him, but he just didn't say anything. It took for me to go inside of the building and to see what the population of the people looked like for me to be like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. I see what's going on here. So it didn't take long. As soon as I seen what the population of people looked like, it came to me. But when I first seen the cars in the parking lot, I was like, okay, what they giving out here? What's going on? They giving out Christmas gifts in February to people. Like, what is going on? Why is there so many cars here? So I was able to peep game. They were there trying to handle their business, whatever that consisted of, but they were there. I do need to make my way back up there to handle some more business. So it's just like, Lord, I don't want it to be busy again when I do go up there, because I'm used to kind of being in and out. But with the climate of everything going on, I'm like, okay, is this going to be a new norm for a while with my DMV being crazy busy because of people trying to get their docs in order? So, I mean, you got them out here. They trying to do what they got to do. And it's just, it's a thing. We're here. This is what he ran on. This is what he ran on. So he's doing exactly what he ran on. Yvonne McGowan, you said, I'm here for it. You say, right now, how do you live in a country over 20 years and don't speak their language at all? It's like, you're not required. It's like a lot of the people have come over here, benefited from the system without being required to put anything into it, do anything. And largely because they're not in the computer, they're not even in the system as even being recognized as even being over here like that. So they've been kind of, like I said, floating underneath the radar. So they feel like, okay, they don't have to come over here, because I feel like a lot of times when people don't do things the right way, there's a lack of respect for what it is that they're doing. Because it's almost like, I feel like when you respect someone, when you respect a system, it's important to you to do it in a way in which it's outlined for it to be done, because it's like, I respect what you got going on here. So if you say that things need to be done this way, I like what y'all doing over here. I want to make sure that I'm in compliance with that, because I like what y'all doing over here. And so I think when you have people who have felt like they can just do what they want to do all willy-nilly, to me, that shows that you do not respect the country, the system. There's no respect, because you're like, I don't even respect you enough to even be trying to comply and do things the way you said it's supposed to be done. I don't respect you. I don't respect you, because respect is something like you see it. And these people don't have respect for our country. They don't have respect. But like I said, you can't pick up and go to any other country in the land and just be there all willy-nilly like and not have your papers. Because I've shared the story before on my platform where my husband's coworker talked about when he lived in one of the Asian countries. It was China, maybe. It was either China or Japan. So he was over there. He was a teacher teaching, and he was over there on the work visa, and it expired. And he said they tapped him on his shoulder and told him it had expired. They took notice that it had expired, and that was his last day at work. That was his last day at work. They were like, well, yep, it expired, but so, I mean, you can't work here. You can't be here. You got to go fix that. So they fired him. He went and got another, got the visa renewed, but he had to also find another job because the job had let him go. They were on top of their stuff. Listen, they're like, you have to respect what we got going on over here. This is how we move. This is how we keep order. This is how we stay efficient. You got to do things this way. And so he understood, like, okay, this is the requirement. So he went and handled his business. He didn't cry over it or whatever. And, but he took notice that, wow, they not playing over here. I don't know how much he was beyond the expiration date by the time his employer took notice that it was expired. But they took notice of it and they fired him, and he went and fixed it, handled his business, and found another job in that country. Over here, people ain't experiencing that. People just moving all willy-nilly and so they've become accustomed to that, and they feel like, okay, well, like it's almost like how a person can take advantage so much to where they feel like you owe them something. I feel like a lot of the people who have come over here illegally, and even many loved ones of those people, feel like our country owe them something. How do you even get in that mindset of if someone owing you something when you came into the situation illegally? Like, how, Sway? Like, how you got a leg to stand on when you came into here illegally? And that is what's happening. How you up and down the street blocking traffic with flags, talking about I ain't going nowhere or whatever. I don't understand. But this is the craziness that's taking place, and it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to many other people. But somehow in the minds of these people, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And it's rooted in the fact of, well, my papa been here 30 years. Okay, 30 years illegally. Well, they still, they might as well should be able to stay. They've been here this long. Like, this is the mindset. Like, it's like someone who's been stealing for 10 years, they get caught. And they were like, well, hell, I've been doing it for 10 years. What's the big deal? Like, this ain't how this work. It don't work that way. It don't work that way, that just because you've been doing something wrongfully for X amount of time, that when someone finally takes notice of it, they just say, okay, well, you've been doing it this long, so it is what it is. Where is that a mindset at when it comes to any type of law that we have on the books? It's no different. It's no different. Oh, I see you've been a thief for 10 years. So when they catch you stealing, them folks gonna be like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it is what it is. You've been doing this for 10 years. So go on now. A judge is not going to say that. They're looking at it like, oh, your stuff then finally caught up with you, right? So now you got to pay the price. And oh, we see you've been doing this for 10 years. We're going to factor that into this punishment that we're going to give you because you've been on this type of time for 10 years. So in any other type of situation, when you've been doing something wrongfully for X amount of time, that's factored into the consequences, the punishment. But when it comes to this deportation, the thought process is for it to be something different, that, oh, okay, well, since they've been doing it 10, 20, 30 years, then you should have grace and not do anything and just let them be. It doesn't make sense. The logic, the logic isn't there. It's not following the same logic of any other legal system that we have in place. And it's like people kind of want to pick and choose when they want to use logic or when they want the law to go into effect. Because I'm pretty sure these same people who are here illegally wants the law to be there to protect them if somebody trying to come in and break into their business, their homes, their cars. They don't want the law, them folks, to show up to defend them, to help them get their stuff back. So you want that law to be in full force. You want them rules and guidelines. You want all of that to operate in a manner in which it was designed. But this over here, this different. This different. Well, how? How is it different? How is this different? This is a law too. You said you want to abide by this one, and you want us to come through and with the taxes that's paying into this system that you ain't even paying into, because you making money under the table. So technically we didn't even know you was even here because you're undocumented. But you're wanting the police to come in and to help you out because you know that it's on the books that this is what they do. This is a part of the law. This is a part of the law. But then when they want to bring the conversation back to you, and if you should even be here to even be experiencing what the heck you say you're experiencing, then you like, well, no, we don't need to talk about that part. Listen, I don't want to talk about that part. I don't want to talk about that part. Well, no, that's the part we need to talk about. And that's what's happening. We're now talking about that part that no one has wanted to talk about for so long. And now it's gotten out of hand because nobody wanted to deal with it. Or people would call themselves, or other administrations would say they're dealing with it, but were they really dealing with it? They would talk a good game, but you didn't really see the action. So today we're seeing action. So what we're seeing with underneath the Trump administration is that he's very action oriented. He's so action oriented that people who even voted for him are now, are being impacted by these changes that he's making, because it's just like, damn, he really about that life. I didn't know he was going, what he was about to do, that it was going to impact me too. He did say he want to drain the swamp. He want to clean up the government. But man, I'm used to politicians not really standing on their words, standing 10 toes down. I'm used to them saying whatever just to get the vote, just to get the seat. How many of us have felt that about just different leaders, to where they just be talking? I know I have, because a lot of times it's like they'll say all these great things, these things that make you feel warm and fuzzy. And then when they get in their seats, because I ain't gonna lie, that's how I felt about the Obama administration. And I voted for him both terms. I really felt like there wasn't really anything that I got out of that, or people that even look like me got out of that. We just had someone who we can just chant and say that was sitting in office that looked like us. That was it. But this time around, when it came to Kamala, we were like, no, fool me once, shame on me. Shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So people were ready. What do they call it? Identity politics. Obama got into office largely on identity politics, and it didn't work for Kamala. People saw through it, because I've heard so many people talk about that when he was elected, that they didn't elect him based off of what he was running on. It was just identity politics. And, he was just, it's like, wow, it's somebody for the first time that looks like me. So, of course, he's going to be out here, campaigning and trying to go in, for, my best interest. Of course. But that didn't happen. So fast forward to today's times. Oh, I was ready this time. It's like, no, what are you talking about? What are you standing on? What are you standing on? And a lot of people felt that way, which is why her votes were just like that. People saw through it, and they weren't going to get tricked again like they felt like they did with the Obama administration. Angie R said they learning how to spell respect now. I bet they are. You said, I agree with you, Sheik. People don't understand the illegal part. Some people who came here illegally are here illegally. Visa expired but stayed. Feel like if they don't do anything criminal, they are safe. Exactly. But they done found out today. And a lot of people, that's what they felt like. They thought that he was only going to deport the ones who were just doing heinous acts, when he didn't say that. He just said illegal, immigrants. It's levels to that. He was prioritizing getting those ones who was doing the absolute most, hurting people, that they are the priority. But he wasn't just stopping there. That was just the priority. Technically, if you hurt somebody, you're breaking the law. And if you're here in this country with an expired visa, you're breaking the law. Hell, if you in the country with no paperwork, nothing, you're breaking the law. So all three, you've broken the law. It's just, what level did you break it? But you still broke it. And that's the message. And that's what he's saying. And so some people, like I said, they want to cherry pick. Well, yeah, he hurt somebody. So yeah, send him back. But this person didn't hurt nobody. All they did was just sneak over here. Okay, well, according to this law on this docket, that's the law also that was broken. So they have to be dealt with too. Well, no. I feel like theirs is different because they didn't hurt nobody. You see what I'm saying? It's like people want to pick and choose which laws to abide by. Where they do that at? What country can you go to where you can be selective on which laws and rules to adhere to? Now, people will do it all day long, but they get dealt with when they do it. There's no country that allows it. People gonna try. People always gonna try you. So they'll try it, but they're dealt with. Just like here. They tried it, but they're being dealt with. What I'm saying is that we are moving no differently than any other country with wanting to adhere to laws and regulations. Really, in these other countries, we've been more lax when it has come to the laws and regulations and things like that, in comparison to other countries. So now we like, well, hell, we want to be respected for our laws and rules and regulations just like the next country. Why are you looking at me side-eye when I'm just saying I'm trying to be an equal opportunist over here? And just like you got to respect Cuba's laws, Mexico's laws, Africa's laws, we just saying we want you to respect the U.S. laws. Why is that a problem? I don't ever hear nobody on the internet hooping and hollering talking about they pissed off when they go to Paris and how they got to show their passport and how if they paperwork is not in order, they got to leave. I don't be seeing people arguing that. Guess what? They comply because it's always been required to do that. But in our country, things got laxed. So then that's when people started bucking the system. So a new norm was created. And the new norm was you can just do whatever, free for all. So people got used to that and developed that expectation. It's almost like I've used the analogy of a child, this co-parent. The child was living with the mama, doing the absolute most, doing the absolute most, staying out late, coming home, whatever, not going to school, doing homework, nothing. Did that with mama for 5 years. Now they got shipped off to daddy's house. Daddy like, all right, then you need to go to school. You got to be up in this house by 6 o'clock. You need to be doing homework. You got to go to bed at 12. You like, what? What do you mean? For the past 5 years, I've been moving this way. What are you talking about, Father? What are you talking about? This is not what me and mama was doing. He's like, well, this ain't mama's house. This a new shit. Unfortunately, it wasn't popping off that way, but the way your mama, the way I'm operating, this is the way it's supposed to be in healthy homes. That wasn't healthy, but you didn't know that because that's what you just was accustomed to. But now I'm trying to show you that this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is the recipe for success. So that's what I see what's going on now. So people are like, what the heck? Because they got so used to the dysfunction, the chaos, not adhering to rules, laws, regulations. So now the day has come where that's no longer acceptable. And people have a problem with that. People have a problem with that because they're not used to it. Just like how we got a problem with censorship if someone's trying to censor us. And we like, wait a minute, what are you doing? Because what? We're not used to that. So it is a natural reaction to have to where someone comes along to take you out of your comfort zone to ask for you or require you to do something that you're not accustomed to doing. I understand that. But you have to use logic and discernment to understand the whys behind the change and when the changes are for the betterment of you or just the country, the system as a whole. You got to kind of look at it. You got to look at it beyond your personal comfort. Does it make sense? Does this change that's now been enforced, does it make sense? And a lot of these changes, they do make sense, which is why Trump won by leaps and bounds, because he won on common sense and logic. People felt like what he was talking was making sense. Because if it wasn't, the American people wouldn't have showed up and showed out when it came to the votes in a manner in which they did. And GR said, Trump not sleeping. He got 4 years and he ain't taking a day off. Like I was just thinking not that long ago how it feels like he's already been in office for at least a year. And I heard someone else say the same thing. So I'm like, okay, it's not just me. Because he's doing so much to where your head is spinning. You're not sitting wondering like, oh, is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? Like, have anyone had that thought? Because since he's been in there from the day following his inauguration, hell, he probably got to work the day of inauguration, but he's just been working. So we ain't even, I don't even know if we had a halfway point yet to the 100 days because he done already done so much. I can only imagine once the 100 days come and they talk about what all he did, what that list is finna look like. Because he done so much just within about, hell, has it even been 45, maybe, I don't know, we're barely a month in. We're at maybe 40 days. He's done probably more in that time period than the last administration did that people probably think probably in a whole 4 years. Let's talk about it. He's listen, child, listen. One thing I do see that even the people who don't like him, and I even heard a Democrat say it, I think it was Jasmine Crockett, and she said, and this is what she said, that when Trump say he gonna do something, he gonna do it. So you know if the Democrats be like, oh, this stand on business. The one thing they not saying this man ain't gonna do is be a man of his damn word. That is what you not hearing out here when you not hearing people saying he ain't standing on his word. That's not what you hear. Now you got some of these immigrants are saying, oh, well, he was only supposed to send up. No, you misunderstood, but I do understand English is not your first language. But that's your L you got to take, because you should have been talking to somebody whose English is their first language so they can help you understand what it meant when he said taking control over the illegal, the immigration system and making sure that people are over here legally. So that's your fault. You misunderstood. This man did not lie. You misunderstood. So you have to stand on that. It happens, but it was a big L for the people of the Hispanic community when they misunderstood what he meant by saying sending people back who's over here, who's broken the law. That includes you. If you came over here illegally, or if you're over here on a visa and expired and you're still here, that includes you. That's you. That is you. You may not like the fact that you're in that category, but you're in that category. So he has been standing on business expeditiously since he has been in the White House, and majority of the American people are here for it. Why I say that? Because they voted for him. So that's just that. The people voted for him, and that's what him and Elon have been standing on. He's been moving in a way in which the American people they're not surprised, because they knew what he ran on. He talked about just making these drastic changes. Like I said, I was one of those people that wanted to see if he was going to just go through with everything that he was saying, because some stuff, it just sounds so like, oh my God, how are you going to do that? You're going to do that? Oh, like when it comes to these government jobs, people losing these jobs, y'all, I ain't never seen nothing like it. I've never seen nothing like it, where so many people just are losing jobs left and right. Like it's just like my head is spinning, and I'm human too. So I feel for these people who are being impacted. I know the feeling of being laid off. I've experienced it twice, in my adult years, since I've been an adult. So I know the feeling, and it's sad, it's disheartening, but I have to trust that all of this there's a plan in place, and I may not know all the details centered around the plan, but it's for the ultimate betterment of our country. It's just that these workers, they're kind of like casualties along the way from these changes that have to take place. So my prayers is that all of them can land on their feet and get new jobs and still maintain their households. That is my prayer. But I also hope that down the line, within the next 2 years, these changes, these drastic changes that are being made, we will feel the impact of them in a positive way for our nation as a whole. That's my hope and prayer for all of this, because right now, like I said, I've said it multiple times on our platform, this is growing pains. A lot of things that's happening, it's hurtful, like it's scary, but it's growing pains. And when you think about just anything that you've dealt with in life and where a change was required in the beginning, it didn't feel good. Anything, like really think about it. Buying your first house, going to college, paying rent for the first time you left your parents' house, and you struggling, you only making X amount of money, but you know that you're moving in a direction that's gonna kind of put you up. But right now it's just like, oh my God, this is so stressful, but I got to learn this. Think about learn on a new job. You're in a new career field, and it's so stressful because you're out of your comfort zone, because it's now you got all this unknown and you can't just do it in your sleep anymore. Now you have to look at every little detail, and you got to move slowly because it's new to you. You feel uncomfortable. You even feel discouraged You sometimes even want to give up and be like, F this, let me just go back to what I know. The growing pains, because guess what? You're going to get it eventually. And then once you get it, you're going to be rocking and rolling. And next thing you know, you'll be able to look back and be like, damn, I remember my first day on the job. I remember that first house I bought. I remember I was working all them jobs to get my money up so I can get that down payment. I remember I was trying to get my stuff together so I can be able to have a wife and children to be able to support them. I remember them days, the struggles. Most people who got something today, I bet you they can sit and talk to you about the days when they didn't have it. Most Americans like didn't grow up with like just this affluent lifestyle. They grew up where, mom and daddy, it was a check by check situation. They weren't eating steak and lobsters. Like that's the average person's story. That's the average American story. I think probably around the world, it's probably going to be the average person's story. Because even when I meet and talk with people who may be first generation of whatever over here, these people ain't coming from money of that. They have a story talking about when they didn't have it. Some of them tell the stories of they still live like they don't have it to an extent because they know what it's like to not have. So they're very strategic about how they spend money, what they do, because they remember those days when they didn't have it. Those growing pains. Now they know, they sleep well at night knowing I got it. I can exhale, but I can't forget where I came from because it can be gone. And I don't want to experience that again with not having. So a lot of times that motivates people to continue to try to do things a certain way because they don't want to lose it, because they remember when they didn't have it, what it felt like, and it wasn't a good feeling. Nobody wants to go back to that when I didn't have. People want to stay in that I have. So you're going to work at that. But it's growing pains when you don't have it, because guess what? You see the vision. Okay, I'm tired. I'm a full-time student. I'm working this job. It's kicking my butt, but I know once I get this degree, it's going to allow for me to get a better paying job. I can go from working 2 jobs to 1 job because I'm going to make more money, and I'll be able to afford to pay my bills, have the lifestyle that I want. Like you have these things that motivates you to keep going. So growing pains. Our nation is definitely experiencing the growing pains right now. But I feel like, what they say, the storm don't last forever. There's always the rainbow at the end. This feel like the storm for a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are in their feelings, unhappy, stressed, but I have faith in 2 years, because I said in 2 years, it's going to take probably about 2 years for us to really feel the impacts of all these changes. And I have faith that in the 2 years, what we're feeling is going to be for the betterment of our country versus the detriment. It's going to be for the better, where we're going to be like, okay, I see, yes. Ooh, I was stressed in first 2 years, Trump, but I see what you did. I see what you did. I see what you did. We are definitely in times where we have to move by faith and not by sight. And we see people losing their jobs left and right, and that's by sight. But we have to keep the faith that these people will land on their feet. They will get other jobs, and they will continue to prosper in our nation, and our country will continue to prosper as a whole while we retain more money in-house versus going outside. So let me see. Let me get into some of these comments. Welcome, everyone. Please make sure you hit the like button as you come on in. Ivan, welcome, Ivan. You said the people who got laid off also refused the compensation package that allowed them to leave willingly with 9 months of pay. So, yes, I was listening to a guy tonight, and he got his papers. He said, so let me tell you his story. He said he went to work, and the Teams. So I know in my work environment, we use Teams. It's kind of like a chat system, internal chat system. And he said the Teams wasn't working. And so he started kind of asking other people in the office, hey, is your Teams working? Some people was like, no. Some people were like, yes. So he was like, literally all day, they were just like sitting around wondering like, what is going on? And then after, he didn't say how long, he said all day. So he made it seem like they kept them there for like a whole day's worth of shift. So he's like, talk about waste of time. He was like, we literally just sat around all day because our systems wasn't working for us to do anything. And no one had communicated to us the whys behind that. And he said eventually an email went out, and the email was them telling them, you're fired. You're fired, and that their last day was that day. So he said about an hour after that, that's when they started being escorted out the building. He said, management, I guess some of the managers didn't, I guess the regular people, because he said he'd been only working there, just so he was one of the probationary people, because he'd only been working there for 4 months. He said it took him 8 months to get that job, and he'd only been there for 4 months. And he said, after he was like, he felt numb. So I knew, as he's talking about the emotions, like I said, I've been laid off twice. So I know that feeling of kind of like with the numbness. He said he wasn't shocked, but then you are, because he knew he just passed up that option to get the, to resign. So he knew jobs were on the line, but look how soon this came after he passed up the option to resign. So he said, afterwards, after he left, him and another colleague, they went and had lunch together. But he was like, right now, he was like, it's like a numbing feeling. So he talked about, he voted for Trump. And he didn't really say, or I didn't pick up in at least the clip in the interview that I watched, his reasoning behind why he did vote for him or whatever. But he did say like he voted for him. But he does feel like it was a mistake made by the Trump administration, as with letting them all go from their jobs and things like that. But he just feels bad that now he's back in that place of looking for work again, because it took 8 months to line that up, and he was only there for 4 months. He said his performance review was good. It was no issue with his performance review, but so they asked, well, what reason did they give you for you to leave? And he said, I guess the email said that your job performance does not line up with the government's expectations. So basically, that's work performance. And a lot of people have been saying that they were losing their jobs, and it was being said because of the work performance. But though they got receipts showing that, no, that ain't what my manager said 6 months ago when I had my review. But that is like the reasoning. It just seems like it's almost like the default reasoning that people are getting when they're getting their walking papers. So he said now when he think about, the resignation option, it's just like, wow, he's thinking like, yeah, of course, now because he's without a job, he's thinking like, wow, I maybe I should have taken, the resignation. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who didn't, take the resignation because they didn't trust or, know for sure if what Trump was standing on as far as paying out for the 8 or 9 months would hold. And he did say that. He was like, well, still, he was like, when I think about me passing up on that option, I think, wow, that probably would have had me in a better situation. He's like, but at the same time, I don't even know if that's going to pan out for those people. And that was, I think, largely the reason why a lot of people did not accept do the resignation, because they weren't quite sure of whether or not that promise that was being made by the Trump administration would kind of hold, so they were like, no, I'm just going to stay. But this week, or starting last week, week of Valentine's Day, a lot of people was getting their papers, and that was coming off of the week after them, passing over that opportunity to resign. In this situation, these people would be able to go and collect unemployment, but that's only so much. Anyone who's collecting unemployment know that is not nothing you can live off of. You can buy you a little meal, maybe pay a utility bill, but it's not that. It is not that. So I definitely feel for people who are in this situation. I do, because I've experienced it before. And a lot of people, I'm sure, have experienced being without work for a period of time, wondering how you're going to pay your bills, or just abruptly kind of being let go from your job. And you're like, what? So I know the feeling, and I will tell you, it is not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. Russian said, do you like Ukraine? Melody says, I'll come back when you, I'll wait for the series by Dr. J. What's up? Open book. Hey, open book. Hello. Angie says, lost their jobs, but like Sheik said, change is difficult, growing pains, and I'm praying for everyone who is scared, but I have faith there is light at the end of the tunnel. At this point, that's what we got to hone in on, just the light at the end of the tunnel, because from the vision, when we, what we seeing, it's just like, oh my, it's, you're trying to see like, how do we come back from all of this? I know I am looking like, oh my, but I'm trying to not get caught up in the visuals of looking at the numbers of X amount of people lost their jobs here. I'm just trying to keep the faith that at the end of the day, it's all going to work out. Everyone has to stay heavily prayed up. Yvonne says, I think the illegal immigrants probably would do better to self-deport themselves to avoid being shipped away to the foreign country. I think that would be good. A lot of times, even with like people here, when you get in trouble with, they say it's always a better look when you turn yourself in versus them folks come knocking on your door and come getting you. I think you tend to have more bargaining power when you do kind of voluntarily do what you need to do. From what I've heard, that people who have to be forcefully removed, like they don't have the opportunities with ever coming back, or it's like a certain period of time they gotta wait. So I do think that people who leave on their own and then try to come back the right way, I think overall, I think it would fare out better for them. To me, it just makes more sense. It makes more sense to me. Yvonne says, Southwest airline employees were let go by email. Yes, Southwest did their very first layoff in history. Like, they'd never had a layoff before. And but back in November, they were extending opportunities, kind of like this. A lot of this happened during the pandemic, and even Southwest, me knowing, people working for Southwest, there was opportunity for people to accept, go out on early retirement, get a severance package, all of that, nice package. So there are people who accepted that because Southwest planned, they didn't want to have to lay off people for the very first time. So they want to stick to, we don't do layoffs. So let's just make offers to people that give them a way out. So some people took that, and I guess it was enough to where they didn't still end up having to do layoffs. Fast forward, from what I've learned, in November of 2024, they extended another opportunity to employees to accept kind of like a package to kind of walk away. And again, that was right before the holidays. So how many people signing up to kind of accept a severance package right before the holidays? So my guess is that a lot of people did not accept it, which is why the next go around they did forceful removals. Because sometimes the companies will come out and say, okay, we asking for volunteers, because typically what they say, y'all ever heard the term voluntold? So, because typically a lot of times people will say, okay, I need 10 volunteers. If y'all volunteer, I'm just finna start calling folks. We didn't experience that in many situations, school, whatever, jobs. So what happened is Southwest, they was looking for volunteers. The volunteers didn't step up to the front of the congregation in the numbers in which they, wanted. So fast forward to now, they've now announced, the layoffs. And I think they called it the first round. So when someone says first round, that means there'll be more. And I also learned at the same time that Southwest have moved away. I don't know if they've already put it in effect, but when you fly Southwest, normally for the whole history of Southwest, you've been able to pick your seat. Southwest has now moved away from that to where now it's like most of the other lines, to where you have to choose a seat. And then, of course, certain seats come with certain costs. So that's a way to make money. So they're trying. So a lot of these companies are struggling, even though I don't ever hear anyone out, that talk about the economy to say it's not a bad economy. But apparently some folks be out here talking about the economy ain't really that bad. Yes, the hell it is. Yes, it is. It may not have impacted you directly, probably from your job, but read the room. You got to think beyond yourself and look at the people around you, and if there's an impact to them. Look at the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, all these basic things that we need. Just because you can still afford these things does not mean that the economy isn't doing worse than maybe before. So it's just like it's levels to this thing, as I say. So Southwest, given that now with them looking for ways to make up for money, That speaks to the economy for them to have to be moving away from their normal culture of no layoffs, choosing where you want to sit and not having to pay extra because you want to sit in the front of the plane versus the middle or the back. Now that they're moving away from that and they're moving into things that has them to make money and save money, because remember, the savings is coming from the layoffs, the letting go of the release of people from their jobs, but making the money is coming from now charging you for your seat. Now charging you for your seat. And I believe there was like a certain dollar amount of money that Southwest was trying to make up for. And they made up for some of that with some of the layoffs, but they still need to make up some of that. So where else is that going to come from to meet that target? More layoffs. So you really got to really pay attention to these things that are happening because if you can understand what's happening in present time, it can help you kind of predict what's probably to come. And when you're able to kind of predict it, it kind of puts you in a better place to try to get ahead and to try to plan around that. Say if you are someone who works for, said organization. So those who work for Southwest, to me, it would be very beneficial for them to start putting themselves out there with exploring other job opportunities, getting ahead of the game. Even if, say, they do stick around until they get their walking papers, at least be already putting your resumes out there, testing the waters, seeing if you get any hits, having conversations with people. So that day come where they do tap you on your shoulder or send you that email to say, this is your last day. You got some things kind of lined up where you can, start, making some phone calls to see if, these opportunities are still available, because you kind of started prepping. And sometimes you can probably line something up with another company to say, hey, I'm not ready now, but I feel like probably in the next 6 months, I may be ready to be able to come over to your organization, which y'all got popping off. And that organization might let you know, hey, we got this coming up right around that same timeline. We'll keep you in mind. So you have to network. That's why network is very big. If you have LinkedIn, if you don't have LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn, but it's a great networking social media environment where you can learn about job opportunities. That's where I learned about really what this job market really is about, because I see a lot of people making posts talking about how they've been in the job market for X amount of months or years and still, trying to find something, or how they've applied for these jobs, not hearing responses back. Not even to say, hey, we went with another candidate. They're getting ghosted, like all of that, all of that. So those things that people are experiencing, like I have experienced it before multiple times. So that's why when I speak from a place of just understanding, because it may not be my situation in present time, but it's a good chance it was my situation in another time, and I have not forgotten. So I'm human too, so I understand the emotions that are centered around a lot of these changes that are taking place with people today, with their jobs, their households, all of that. I understand, y'all. Angie says, I heard a lot of people had that on their exit papers, but supposedly had good evaluations. Yeah, it was almost like it was like a default reasoning. I don't know if that was their way of protecting, for lawsuits as far as with these places who have been releasing people. I don't know, what's that rooted in as far as with using that as the reason. But peep gang, here's the thing. Some of the people who was released for that reason last week was getting called back because they were released in error. Like some of the people who dealt with like the nuclear, like on that side, and it was about 300 people, I think, that had gotten removed from their jobs. They got the emails in error. And then the government had to circle back around and reach back out to those people to see if they were still available to come back to work because they were released in error. Mind you, some of these people were told, hey, we're releasing you because of poor job performance. So make it make sense. You released me because of poor job performance, but days later you calling me back. So which one is it? Do I suck as an employee? Why are you calling me back, ma'am? Why are you calling me? If my job performance was all of that, is just piss poor, why are you calling me back? See, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So it's almost like it's like a generic reasoning. And here's the thing with those people, what type of morale is going to be in that environment when those people come back knowing that they had gotten fired and then the company had to humble themselves, and call you back and say, hey, yeah, you wasn't supposed to get that email. So are you free on Tuesday? Like what? Like these people probably showing back up to work looking at these other folks all types of crazy. Like really, like think about it. Somebody rejecting you in your face and then having to turn around and come back and ask for your help. Like, I don't know. So that wasn't a good look to me for the administration because it was giving like y'all was just knee jerk with a lot of these, removal of people from their positions and not putting enough thought into it. So that wasn't a good look at all. Ivan said he was on a probation period. They can fire you for anything that isn't race, sex, or religious. Yeah, so what I was hearing, it seems like was everyone who got let go only the people within their probation period? Because that's over the last couple of weeks, most of the people that I was hearing speak and things like that, they were people, I think in the government, you're considered, like some of the people was talking about probation periods still being within 2 years. That's a long probation period. I'm used to probation period being 90 days, child, but I've never worked for the government. So I don't know what their standard probation period is, but it was one young lady, I think she was an engineer or scientist, something like that. I think she was a chemist or something like that. And I saw her story earlier this week. And I think she said she had been on her job. She had probably been working for maybe about 6 months or something like that. But herself and like some people who had only been working for like 2 years were impacted. So very sad. What's up, Skeptic? Hello, welcome. Said hashtag Trump. Go get him. Skeptic said Trump cleaning house, period. Listen, that's what he ran on. He said that's what he was going to do, child. He said that's what he's going to do. Even Democrats saying that man doing what he said. He doing what he said he was going to do. Get it together. Keep dropping my phone. He doing what he said he was going to do, y'all. Ivan said, what do you think of the proposed Dodge dividends after the end of the cut? So I started my live actually talking about that. It sounds nice, but it's one of those things to where it's just like, okay, if it happens, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it because that's something huge. And then when I'm learning about just the different approvals and things that it has to go through for it to even happen, it's been questionable about the actual total amount of money that has been saved from the audits, that Elon and his team have been doing. So there are some questions, centered around a lot of things. And because of those questions are kind of on the table, it has me to wonder like, if they can really make this happen on that type of level. And if it could be something that can happen this year. So I'm here for it all day. I'm just kind of reserved on, my belief that it's going to like it's a done data. Like I'm not sold on that because I do know like there's people who got to prove some things, and a lot of these like with the House and the Senate and all this, a lot of these people aren't for the Trump administration. So you got people who will just hold up stuff, block stuff just out of personal reasons to not want to see somebody win or look good. So because of that, it has me to be like, since he got to kind of get the buy-in from these Democrats, these people over here, they may try to make things hard. Like, hell, you see how they've been making it hard with just getting these people on his team sworn in. And I think Patel, the guy over what is he over now? The Law Cash Patel or something. He got sworn in today. I haven't checked out any of the content on the internet centered around it, but people have been telling me that he finally got sworn in, but they gave that man the business. So it's like they have been like strategically making it hard to give a green light to anything President Trump has wanted to do. So anything that got to get a buy-in from them folks on the other side, child, don't hold your breath. Do not hold your breath. Angie says, I go to the store and I've seen the cost of what I regularly buy become consistently more expensive. I am still about to save, but it's only because I've tightened my budget. Yes, I mean, we just have to be strategic with how we move right now these days. It was said, as I was like listening out about the dividend and the refund check or the tax refund check, there was some group that said they felt like, giving these checks out this time around was going to be different or better than, say, when we got the stimulus checks a few years back during the pandemic, because those were, people were, spending that money, whereas this time people are going to be more apt to save it. I don't believe that people are going to be more apt to save $5,000 because a lot of people are in debt and they got bills and they're lining up. And as we see, a lot of people now are without jobs. So when you got a situation and you got people calling your phone, knocking on your door, dropping invoices in your mailboxes saying, I need to holler at you. You owe me this. You're tired. You want to get them people off your back. So if you got a few dollars that you can throw at them to get them to go away, I think you're going to do it. So I think the vast majority of people are in situations like that, to where that money, it will be spent. It's not going to just sit in a savings account and collect very minimal interest. People need that money. And I think that's why they're proposing to cut those checks, because they know people need that money now. Like, people need the money. What people collectively are going to do with their money, I don't know. I don't have a clue, but I think a lot of people are going to use it to take care of bills. And then you got some people who are going to use it to parlay. Some people don't have a lot of bills. I see a lot of young people, not everybody have a lot of bills, but I feel like most people, basically, the money will be spent. Listen, Beyonce tickets on sale. That $5,000 going on Beyonce tickets. Because what I'm hearing, them tickets is right around in that ballpark in the thousands anyway. So if they cut them checks within the next 30 days, I'm sure Beyonce will see a boost in her ticket sales. Because y'all know these people would take their last. She strategically always, announce it around the tax time, because I think her last tour she did that. I remember talks to people saying people taking their tax return checks and buying Beyonce's tickets. So that's the same thing this time. But this time around, from what I'm hearing, the tickets are even more expensive, and she has fewer shows. I think they say maybe 10. I don't know. It's just like, it's fewer shows, and the cost point is higher. So yes, $5,000. These people probably been praying to the gods. It's probably coming up in conversation, probably because of all the prayers that these beehives been having to be able to find the money to pay for a ticket. So when they say the Lord works in mysterious ways, maybe that's what. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Child. OMG. Angie said, I have to believe that more and more Americans have had to use credit to just purchase daily living supplies. Yes, for sure. Like, yes, I just from experience know what it's like just earlier on, like just having children when they were smaller and having daycare and needing to use like credit on, with credit. We ain't gonna talk about how much I've, paid, or how many daycare bills I've paid on credit using a credit card, because yes, it's hard. It's hard. That's why I'm like, this little money that they give us, $5,000, it's a lot, but at the same time, what people got going on, it helps, but what people got going on, it's not the resolution for a lot of people, but it does help, and people aren't going to complain about it. So that's why I feel like, no, it's not like that where it's just going to be sitting in an account. No, at best, somebody who's wants to try to do better with their spending will want to try to save some and be like, okay, I'm gonna consciously save half. But child, all that $5,000 is not being saved in nobody's bank account. Is going to Beyonce, and then they'll probably say they'll save the rest. Angie said, true. Some people got released in air, and that's super unfortunate and can cause strife. Yeah. That was just a bad look. When I heard that, I said, hell no. One guy said, hell, he got his papers twice. He said last Thursday, he got his little email with them calling themselves terminating him. But he was like, I had already did the resignation. So they fired him 2 times. So I'm like, so hopefully, given that he got these cross messages, that it won't mess up his ability with still getting that 8-month little payout situation. Because remember, he got 2 little emails. So, woosah. Dr. J says, you're right, Sheikah, will probably leave a bad taste in an employee's mouth if they were fired for no apparent reason. Like, who wouldn't feel some type of way? That's like, y'all, like you in a relationship and your boo leave you for somebody else. Then they go out there, and then that person do them wrong, and then they come back to you like, did I do that? And they want you to take them back. It's like, see, what had happened was she offered to take me to Beyonce, and I didn't have the money for the tickets, so I had to go and do what I would have had to do. But the concert over, and I'm back. So, like, the average person ain't here for that, where somebody kind of trying to spin the block on them when they felt like they was done wrong to begin with. Like, that's just human nature. You're gonna feel away. So I feel like these people went back, and they said some of the people they couldn't even reach because I guess they didn't have updated contact information. So the ones, they try to reach the ones they could, but I'm sure the ones who came back, they coming back with an attitude like, don't say shit to me, leave me over here so I can do my job. Some of them already be having attitudes anyway. So now they really got a reason to be having an attitude in the office. You fired me, told me that I was effing up, and then had a nerve to come back. Don't say shit to me. Y'all know the office experience gonna be real different, especially now since they want you to be in the office. Oh, it's gonna be real different. You fired me, didn't have me to come back. Oh, office will never be the same. Office ain't gonna be the same. Them luncheons. Don't even be trying to organize no potlucks. In these times, I would not be trusted eating some random food. Don't be organizing no potlucks. This is not potluck season. The way people pissed off governments, y'all don't be trying to organize no potlucks. Don't do it. Don't do it. What they say, it's too soon. It's too soon. Ivan say, yes, all probationary people were effectively let go. Makes sense since they're the easiest to cut off. Well, it was a lot of them. They say now it's more than 80,000, I think, that resigned. But then now you got new numbers of the ones who got the little email. So I don't know what the number is now, but from my understanding, it was about initially when the offer was put out there for people to resign, the government wanted to get about 10% of the government workforce to kind of accept. And it wasn't nowhere near that accepted, because the 10% would have had it in like 6-figure numbers, and it was like under 100,000. So that's why I guess, they still need to hit that goal, hit that target. And that's when they like, okay, well, you passed on this. So days later, they spent the block and sent out the emails. And these people, the guy who I was talking about, who said he had only been working there, he got fired. I think today, he lost his job today. He said he was an office worker. He said the whole 4 months that he worked there, he was expected to come into the office, and he came into the office. So it wasn't like a situation where he was a remote worker, because I know someone personally, she decided to not accept the resignation, and she was a remote worker. She'd go into the office 1 day a week. But then when Trump said, hey, I need everybody to come into the office, there was not enough office space for everyone to have a seat. So that's, why they were impacted, because it's like, it's not even possible for everybody to have a seat. So that's what she was told. But she also fell into the probationary period. So she had only been there since September. So she fell into that category as far as, one of the newer hires. Yaman said Cash was sworn in today as the head of FBI. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, a lot of people have been really looking for, waiting for him to be sworn in. I'm curious to see. It's so funny because as they were trying to, the politicians or whatever, they were trying to vet him, and they were just concerned about, okay, well, if you do get in, who you gonna be firing people? Like it's like they just wanted to focus on what he was going to do when he did get in. And it's just like, sir, like, if I get this position and I feel like it's necessary for somebody to get their walking papers, it is what it is. So why are we having this conversation before I even get there? I don't even know what's popping off over there, because you haven't sworn me in to give me the opportunity to go in there and do the job. So you're asking for me to talk about some stuff that I don't really know nothing about on that type of level, because I'm not in the position yet, because I'm still here playing around with y'all asses. So finally today, he got sworn in. So now we'll be able to see, with him being in, if we'll see some some changes expeditiously made when it comes to just I guess the law, anything centered around just the FBI, people that he may be deemed doing criminal acts that may, be within the government. It's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be very interesting because it seemed like a lot of people who've recently like gotten sworn in, like they got in boots on ground. Y'all seen that DA woman? I've seen her a couple of times. She is not playing. What is her name? Bondi, something Bondi, and she has blonde hair, but she stands on business. She she looked like one of the type of people where you'll see in the movies where you see some of the women and they put hands and feet on you. She looked like she one of the type, like she about it. She don't play no games. But she's over the I guess the DA. Yeah, so she's the DA or whatever. What is she? I seen her not that long on the internet. I'm trying to think, what was she talking about? Because she was standing with a woman whose daughter lost her life at the hands of an illegal immigrant, I think back in 2022. And she was standing up there talking, and I think she was talking about I know what she was talking about. She said that they were going to sue the state of New York, just like they sued sued Chicago, because New York, apparently they dropped a dime on some of the legal immigrants up there and told them that I guess ICE and the people were coming for them, and it was found out. And so she was saying, their interference, whatever, they was just breaking laws, whatever. So she was talking about trying to sue the state for them doing that. So that was my introductory to her. So I seen quickly that she didn't come here to play. She did not come here to play. And it looks like most of the people that I'm seeing, even the press secretary, y'all know that that press secretary stand on business every time she at that podium. So, and it seemed like, his team, they all have that same energy where they're just like, listen, we about to get ish done. We done sat on the side far too long. It's time to make some ish happen, because the days are over where we just talking about it and not being about it. What they say, I live by, don't talk about it, be about it. And that's the energy that the Trump administration has been giving. Hell, prior to him even getting sworn in, y'all know we were seeing Trump on the news, having conversations with people. So that was going in, 2024. Trump was still, making moves or putting stuff in place. But now that he's officially in, he's been sworn in, it's only up. And they snatching edges, whether you got them or not. They getting snatched. They gonna try to snatch something. So beware. Ivan says Patel will release the Epstein files. Them Epstein files, they been supposed to release, I think, a year ago they were supposed to get released. They need to. I will be here for it. So hopefully it'll happen. I know plenty will not be here for it because they afraid they names on that list or they people name on that list. But yes, we the people want to know. We want to know where our money's going, and we want to know who out here messing with children, breaking laws in any type of way, and sitting in these high positions where they making money off of the taxpayer money. Like, these government workers, what's their salary, this money is being paid from monies that we as regular people, with our tax money, it goes into all of that. So I'm definitely here for the release of those files. Yvonne says, Ivan, I am for it too. A lot of people are for it. Angie says, those young people got extra funds from OnlyFans and other platforms. Us old folks ain't doing OnlyFans right. They like, shit, I got to do me an OnlyFans video because I got to buy these Beyonce tickets. Listen, desperate times calls for desperate measures. We probably didn't have an influx of OnlyFans start up for people trying to get their money together for these concert tickets. I'm just saying, y'all listen, y'all think I'm playing. People do not be playing. Y'all know these folks will get real strategic. They will get more strategic about trying to get their money up for a damn Beyonce concert than getting their money up to pay their rent. Because if they ain't got their money for their rent, they be like, shit, I'll go back to mama house. They gonna have a game plan that's gonna include your money, your funds in a situation. It's like, wait a minute, why are you factoring in my money into your situation? But when it comes to the Beyonce team, oh, they get real strategic. And it's just like, how the hell you can come up with this damn game plan because her concert coming when I've been trying to get you to damn get a game plan and get the hell out my house for the past 5 years, and you acting like you don't know how to fill out a job application. Help me understand. What they say, people gonna do what they want to do, and people get real resourceful when it comes to things that they want, and that's the situation. So Beyonce's concerts will continue to sell out per usual, regardless of the price, because if there is a will, there is a way, and that way is OnlyFans. Ivan says Janet Jackson is exponentially more talented with a stronger music catalog than Beyonce. Yeah, said it's the old heads, but you know, the young folks, they don't even know. They don't know. They like ask a 20-year-old who Janet Jackson. They gonna look at you like you crazy. They like, who? Is she related to Beyonce? They gonna insert Beyonce name. Who? Did she used to be one of Beyonce's backup dancers? No. Oh, I don't know her. They gonna be real disrespectful. They gonna be real disrespectful with it. Y'all know these damn kids don't be playing. You gonna be ready to fight them. You gonna be like, you know what? They gonna piss you off. Because you know, old heads, we get pissed off when somebody wanna play in our face about somebody we really like because we like them like they like a Beyonce or a Drake or Kendrick, and they want to say some damn stupid shit like, oh, what? Ain't he? Oh my God. So yes, Ivan, I'm with you, but good luck with that. We're talking to them babies these days about that, because they gonna piss you off. They gonna piss you off with the comment they make when they let you know they don't know who the hell she is. Dr. J says, has the 5,000 been approved by the government? I haven't seen that it's approved. I know that Trump is for it. So apparently, Trump put out there that it was Elon Musk's idea for it. It was his idea for it to be paid out, and he supports it. So it's no secret that Trump is here for it. It's just, a matter. But as I led with my live, that I've learned that it has to go through the House and the Senate. This is what I'm hearing when I was listening to like a financial advisor person talking about, and he says that it will have to go through like the House and the Senate, and they're heavily with Democrats in there, and he didn't see them supporting it just out of just hating on them, just hating. So he felt like just there, it was probably going to, not be a go, just with them not even wanting to approve it. So that's why I'm like, I love the idea. I'm not completely convinced that it's going to happen just because of just the process that it has to go through that goes beyond him. But I'm definitely here for it. I think it would be awesome for the American people, the taxpayers. Angie says, Dr. A, I believe they're floating ideas. So yeah, I guess right now it's kind of like an idea. So we'll see. Yvonne says, Angie, nope, maybe we can show our feed if it gets that bad. Angie said, Yvonne, on the next thing, smoking to get that pedicure. Hilarious. Angie says, where are all the other honor students at? They need to be here because these discussions are good. They missing out. Listen, when you know. It's just, I always feel like, you hear the message you need to hear when you're supposed to hear it. So, that's what I kind of lean in on. So I try not to kind of get focused on who's here to get the message. I just know that those who are supposed to receive the message will receive the message, whether it be in my live. Some of my people, some of them, Angie, will be a part of the replay gang. They'll, mention that they didn't get the notification, but some miss out. But listen, that's life, right? That's life. I'm glad you are here to be a part of this discussion and to get this information, because that's just what I come out here to do, just to kind of share, spark conversations, to enlighten, because we are the honor students over here. And it's just about elevating. And I had said, for my 2025, that's what it was going to be about. positive, yes, drama free, just wanting to elevate and just speak on things that are going to just serve, the people and to help. Like, that's the type of time I'm on. And sometimes that when you're on that type of time, it's not very popular. It's not very popular, but that's okay. It's okay. So it's about just choosing like what's most important, just the work or the accolades of the work. Like, and for me, what's most important is just the work and what I do. So I still come out here and do what I do, which is to share, to enlighten, to teach, to educate, to inform, to engage, to do all of that. This is what I do, regardless of who's here to receive it. But I do thank you and appreciate you for tapping in with me, because I see you pretty often. Ivan says, Bondi is now Attorney General. She was previously in Florida government and one of Trump's lawyers on his defense team. Okay. Yeah, she's a beast. She's a beast, but I like her. I like her energy. She's good. Johnny says that's like people having Corvettes sitting in the driveway of their trailers because their priorities are effed up all day. You see it all the time. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, all the time. And I think that's always going to be a thing, but it goes back. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. So you live and you learn. One can only hope that people who do move that way eventually come to a point where they no longer move that way. But that's a fact. That is a fact, Johnny. Angie says, Johnny, cars are the worst investments for your dollar, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, I mean, they depreciate. A car depreciate. A house appreciates. So when you know, you know. So like I said, some of this stuff comes with just education, knowledge, becoming aware of just things and how things work. So I think some people, I haven't said Atlanta. Ooh, yeah, I live in Metro Atlanta. So I'm within the Atlanta city limits. I live in the suburbs, but yeah, I'm in Metro Atlanta, Georgia. So we can only hope that some people eventually get it and know that Beyonce and you spending all your money and thousands of dollars on a ticket is really not going to do nothing for you and your family. And it's just unfortunate that so many people still don't realize that. And I really, really think a lot of people who do go to the concerts really don't have money like that to do it. And they go in debt to do it. They borrow, they'll put it on credit cards. Some of the kids might be going without on some stuff. Like, people, they make the sacrifice just to be in the house for her show, for something like that. And it's a one-time experience. And then you go back to your life and you still have food to put on the table. You still have rent to pay. You still got your car note. You still have all of that. And a lot of people still don't get it, and they still continuously do it over and over again. So what they said, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. You got a lot of people out here operating that way. The prayer is that they get it one day. One day. Angie says, I didn't get a notification sheet, but I'm always checking to see if you own. Thank you. I don't know what the deal is, Angie. I think Sue's, I don't know if she came, she might have joined my live earlier, but she never gets the notifications, and she'll come back and make a comment and say how she didn't get the notification. So don't know what that's all about. What I have learned is that you just, I guess, occasionally have to go in and refresh your notifications to turn it off and turn it back on. But otherwise, thank you for just checking in with me. Lately, I've been going live pretty often. For a while, I wasn't. But lately, I've been doing better with kind of going live. I've been live probably almost every day this week. So I'm just trying to more consistently to go live. So yes, please continue to check back in with me. Angie says, Chic, I secretly do want you input in our flower. What do you say? I secretly do want your input on our flower cat. What do you say? Our flower crash out friend. I know. Every time, I don't even know, to be honest, what's even going on in that world, because when I made the decision to not cover that content, I block the platform, and I don't even see a lot of the people who maybe do talk about it. I don't see their their information, because I didn't want to kind of be tempted to get back into that world, because I know, I can only imagine there's so much that can be said especially after, the Katasha K interview. I saw a little bit of that, and then so I couldn't take it anymore because I started having flashbacks, PTSD. So I'm like, and I was just telling my sister about, she's not really a YouTuber. She's really big on like TikTok. She's a TikToker. And so I was telling her how I, stopped covering it. But I know if I were to probably go live and just to pick, I know it would, people will come running like we're like to hear what I got to say. But to be honest, it's like I don't have an opinion because I haven't even looked at the content to form an opinion on anything. But the little bit I did see from just the Tasha K interview, I see that my comments was, see, that's why the hell we be on your neck. I said, let me go on and get off of this. I think I watched maybe about 30 minutes of it. And I was like, you know what? See, this right here. But just for my own peace of mind, like I had to back away because it was just a lot on me, a lot of energy, a lot of negative energy, I'll say, a lot of negative energy. So I just wanted to move away from that and be on a different type of time this year in 2025. And from a content creation standpoint, it's been kind of like this as far as with how it's been going with me removing myself from that content. As of late, I've been talking about politics heavily. So I've actually gotten more views really this week, or last couple of weeks, from talking about that than when I would react to that the old content. But it is a different type of following now, that tunes into me now. So I don't know. I'm trying my best to stay away from child going in, talking about that person. But we'll see if the Lord will continue to work on me and give me the strength to keep going, because I really do not want to revert backwards. I promise you I don't. Dr. J said, Angie, that's us exactly why I do not ever plan on a new car again. I found later in life that as soon as you drive a new car off the lot, it loses 5,000 to 10,000. Yep, learned that. I learned that back in my 20s, early on when I got into buying vehicles and things. I learned that. Yvonne says, Angie, I pray, Rose, the kids are doing well. Yeah. Angie says, Chic, I get the only live ones mentality. I get that you the only live once mentality, and some will go broke for what they want. But seriously, with the last 3 years, it's been financially difficult for many, and people need to be smarter about money. I agree. People need to move smarter, be smarter about money, especially in these times. I mean, I try to even think, nowadays I'm more so like in a season of just trying to identify just ways to have multiple streams of income. Like I'm on that type of time. Like, okay, what else can I do to bring in more income? And then, while trying to spend less. So you just have to be strategic about it. Angie says, Yvonne, 2025 didn't bring any change. See, Angie, that's why I'm over here talking about Trump. She said she's still the same. She's still the same. Angie says, I truly understand Sheik is draining to break the behavior down. It is. And I know that when I would, look at it, I can break it down, but it took a lot out of me, to break it down. And for as long as I did, and y'all know I would go deep. And even though sometimes it may seem like I can do it just very easily because just with my background, my background being clinical mental health counseling, it still took a lot. It was draining. And then still also in the background, just conflict, fighting against, people who weren't here for like the opinions that I have. So I can say I don't really have that energy anymore. I do miss engaging, with the people as far as when I would break things down. But the energy and all was like a negative energy. And it was just a lot. It was just, oh my God. Dr. J says, I am usually in the bushes with your content, workout, book club, truck, vehicle chronicles chat. Thank you, Dr. J. Yes, I've covered a lot. By the way, Sheik, I agree with you again. I am not trying to make Beyonce any richer, period. Angie says, Dr. J, yes, if people can get to a place of not seeing a car as a status statement and rather a vehicle with a means to get to one place from another safely, then they will save money on the type of car. Ivan says Trump will be the Mount Rushmore president after this administration. Do y'all think he'll get another term? That's a thing right now. People are wanting him to do 2 terms, 2 consecutive terms. Because I always wonder, given that he's already had a term and now he's back, does that mean that that's still considered 2 terms? Because normally a president will have 2 terms, but his wasn't consecutive. So I always have that question of like, okay, would he be able to have another term after this one? So what I'm hearing is that is, I think, what he's working on is while he's still in his seat with trying to get things changed to where he will be able to do another term. I know these people gonna spaz out here. These Democrat people gonna spaz out here if they find out that man messed around and secured another 4 years after this term, because a lot of them been just saying like silent prayers. I just got to get through 4 years. I just got to get through 4 years. Child, these people learn it's 8 years. It's from 4 to 8. They're going to lose their mind. They going to lose their mind in a way that we have not seen. And y'all know we done already seen a lot when they learned that he was the president. So it'll only get worse. But yeah, I'm here for him getting, being a 2 consecutive term president, because I definitely do not want to go back to where we came from underneath the Democrat regime. Like, I'm an independent type voter, so I kind of vote over like based off of like what somebody's presenting, not a party. And I just haven't been here for what the Democratic Party been doing for a long time. It's time for change. It's time for change. Angie says, Dr. J, thank you for your encouragement. I'm here for Dr. J said, yes, according to the Constitution, I am thinking 2 is 2. Ivan said, I hope the law can be changed to give him another term. As of now, he may not run again. We'll see. There was like, I think a few weeks back, before the whole hoopla centered around these jobs being cut, I was hearing that he was putting something in the works so that with trying to be a 2 consecutive term president, but I haven't heard anything lately. So I don't know what happened with that. I don't even know like who would approve that, how that would work, because like I said, these people who be having to approve stuff, they do not be trying to make it easy for this man. So if he got to rely on the Senate and the House to be like, yes, then I don't know. Because remember, these are the same people I think that he got to rely on to approve these checks to be cut. So anything that required for him to have to be getting these approvals from these other these other layers, then I'm not going to hold my breath. But just, with the 4 years, I'll just, appreciate the 4 that we do have, and just hope that, let's just say if J.D. Vance, takes over and becomes the next sitting president, because I truly don't feel like people would be slow enough to nominate another Democrat president this soon following Trump's run. I think it would be another Republican, likely J.D. Vance, but J.D.'s been kind of quiet. We've been hearing Trump Elon. It's like, I forget, like, oh yeah, J.D. Vance is the vice president. What is he doing? He's been quiet. So I'll be curious to hear his thoughts on, a lot of what's been going on just with all these changes, because I haven't really heard from him. I don't know if you all have. You can let me know in the comments if you've heard J.D. Vance speak out as of late on anything that's been going on. But I think that it makes sense to me that he probably would run for president the next term. And given that he's currently Trump's vice president, I feel like he will have a strong chance of winning, getting the Republican vote. Just, especially if Trump backs him, because I think people will probably look at him as like the next best thing. If you support Trump, you're going to probably support who Trump is supporting. It only makes sense to me. It only makes sense to me. But Ivan said, did you vote for the Harris walks? Of course not. I never trusted Kamala. I personally think she's an opportunist. She's a chameleon. She can become or tries to become whatever she needs to be in that moment. So I wasn't one of the people sold on her being a black woman, and it's not, I didn't vote for her, or did not vote for her because of that. I just think that she's a chameleon. She'll become whatever she needs to become based off of who she's in front of. So if she's at Howard University, she's black. If she's in India, she's Indian or Asian or whatever. So there was no consistency for me. I didn't see consistency. Trump is very consistent. Even the people who don't like him, I think will agree that they might say he's consistently nuts, but he's consistent. So it's not like you're surprised by really what he does, because he's consistent about just being reactive. Kamala is like, she was always, it was hard for people to kind of understand like where her stance was, if that makes sense. Like she had people confused. So I think that's what worked against her, is that she didn't really have a solid stance on anything. And it gave off that she was here for everything that Biden was doing. And a lot of people wasn't here for that. So she never kind of stood on anything that was kind of separate from that. So it's like, okay, if you're standing on what he was doing, that didn't work for us. So yeah, it's time for you to go too. So yeah, no Harris walks over here in this house. Dr. J says you have to look at his age too. Is President Trump 80? I know that he is 2 years younger than Biden. I don't know if he's 80 yet. I don't know how old he is. I think he's probably in his late 70s, but I'm not quite sure how old he is. But I know he's definitely sharper than Biden when it comes to his mentals. So you wouldn't even think that they're even, within even probably 10 years of each other, because Trump is still very, to me, sharp, still like he gives somebody in his 60s, with how kind of quick-witted he is. And people took notice of that, whereas Biden gave every bit of 112. Biden gives 112. Trump gives 63. 65. So it was a big difference. People took notice that. Some want to be in denial and didn't want to accept it. But child, when we see the man going up the steps versus coming down, Democrats, what the hell you mean you didn't take notice that this man wasn't all together? He fell off a bike. I done seen this man fall off a bike. I done seen this man fall going up some steps. I done heard this man misspeak several times while he's talking, and they would ask Kamala, well, did you take notice that he was deteriorating? And she's like, okay, but you don't need to be in here either if you didn't see all of that. If you didn't see all of that, just with the man sitting next to you, how are we supposed to trust you finna see some F stuff that's taking place with some other countries or whatever trying to come for us? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So yeah, I clearly it wasn't hard to give a pass on her based off of how the votes came in. But I will say I was surprised that Trump blew it out the water the way he did, as far as with the number of votes he got. I was surprised, but I'm not surprised he won. I just wasn't expecting it to be like a blowout the way that was, because Democrats was really loud about, supporting her. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. So given that it was a blowout and it was just no question for no recount, that wasn't no recount type situation. Recount situations when it gets close. There was nothing close, so you didn't need to recount a damn thing. Them numbers spoke. The math was mathing. So the people have spoken, and here we are. Jay says, no, I hear more from Elon than VP Vance. Yes, I think we all hear more from Elon. That's why I forgot. Someone mentioned Vance's name recently. I was like, oh yeah, where the hell he been? I forgot about him. Where Vance? What Melania doing? Because it's all about Trump and Elon. And X, little X, the little son. Elon and the son. Elon taking the son to work every day. I heard Elon live at Mar-a-Lago. He over there at the house. Elon don't even go home. He lived there with them. So I'm like, wow. Yeah, this is definitely a different type of administration. But I'm here for change. So if this is what we got to do to get to a better place, then, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I do thank y'all for joining me and tapping in. Make sure you hit the like button for me. It's been nice. I just want to come in. I normally don't do a live this late, so this is not the norm, y'all. But I did go live earlier this morning. Lately, I've been going live in the morning time. But tonight, I wanted to do something different. Yeah, thank you, mods, for getting the trolls out. The trolls are in the house. Thank you, Yvonne, for moderating this chat. Some days are definitely better than better than others when it comes to my chat and the trolls. Today didn't seem like it was too bad, but maybe my mods was on top of it, so I didn't really see much of the crazy comments. So I do thank you for your work, mods. Angie says, thank you, Chic, and thank you, friends, in the chat for the engagement. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all make sure you got your notification bell on. I will probably go live tomorrow. I don't know what time of the day it will be. So just keep your notification bell on. It's usually crazier in my chats when I go, like when I'm doing my Car Chronicles series. I don't know what it is about that. I was telling my husband, I don't know like why that gets so much traction when I do that. And I was like, I don't know. Y'all can let me know. I'm like, is it just because when I'm on camera or in my studio, and I'm showing things, I'm more kind of focused really with the topic, and it's very kind of more organized. But y'all, when I be doing my Car Chronicles, y'all know it's just be coming off the dome. I'm driving, I'm letting y'all know what's on my mind, my heart, my spirit, my soul. So I don't know if people just be here for just my delivery with how I do it, because it's almost like in a I don't give a F type of manner. So it's a lot of people that come through and see me when I do that. So I'm like, okay, are the people here for just the loose cannon chic that will just say whatever? Because like I said, I feel like, when I'm sitting, and you see me all set up with my desk and, I'm showing you all things. I'm like the news reporter chic. But child, when I'm doing Car Chronicles, anybody can get it. Y'all know I don't be giving a damn. So I don't know if y'all be here for that or not. So it's like two different kind of energies. Both of them is me, y'all. I'm a true Scorpio. I go from 0 to 10. I think Car Chronicles is the 10. And then and then when I'm like in my studio, that's my 0. So y'all here for the 10 because y'all know I don't be giving a damn. I said what I said. And I'm driving saying it. Now what? Oh my goodness. Let me see what y'all said. Dr. J, yes, this is late for me. Yvonne says you're welcome and you have a blessed night. Angie says I missed the Car Chronicles because of the time difference. Where are you, Angie? What time zone are you in? So I usually do them at 7:00 in the morning when I'm driving into the office. So I usually drive into my office like 2 times a week, maybe 3. I was going to go in today, but I was like, no, I'll stay home. So that's why you're in Hawaii. Okay, that's right, Angie. You're in Hawaii. You're my boots on ground flower person that couldn't wait for her to get gone. That's right. That's right. I remember now, Angie. You said I'm about 5 hours being okay. So yeah, so then you're behind. So you're behind me. So it's like what, like 5, 6. It's like what, like 2 in the morning, 2 in the morning, maybe there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's maybe like 2 in the morning, maybe when I go live, when I go at 7. So yeah, so that I just had decided to do my Car Chronicles just because it just it helps me to pass my time in my long commute to work. It definitely makes my ride go by faster. I feel like I get to work faster, really, be honest. I'm like, oh my God, I'm at work already. But yeah, it's just, so that's just something new that I, been doing. And it seems like people do like that. So I do that on those days when I'm driving in the office. Angie says, I catch it on the replay though. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I hope you enjoy that. But yeah, so I'm going to continue to do those. So around that is, when I'll be doing, the other content that will be, later, in the day. I think I probably went live I went live probably around 7:30 today, but it just wasn't a Car Chronicle series. So I don't know what I'll do tomorrow, but just stay tuned. Stay tuned. And I appreciate you if you are able to be a part of the replay gang. I always appreciate that. And if you are, let me know in the comments that you were a part of the replay gang. So I know that you came through and supported, and I'll definitely, respond to your comments and give you a heart and drop a few words to show my appreciation to you all. So I thank you all for rocking with me and going along with me as I transition to my content with trying to find something that fits, something that I enjoy, something that don't stress me the hell out, something that don't have me having to psychoanalyze people. because it do take the life out of me, y'all. A lot of times when I'm sitting psychoanalyzing, which is why I didn't want to full time be like a psychiatrist. That's, because based on my education, that's what I would be, a therapist. And I just didn't want to do that because it's quite draining. It is. So I like to kind of just help people, underneath my own terms. So I don't want to always feel like I'm trying to just understand and break down the craziness and the madness of a person, because it gets old. It gets old. And I did it for about 6 months on one individual. It was just too much. Too much. Ivan says, I just subscribed. Great chat interaction. Thank you, Ivan, and I welcome you all. But yes, I want you all to have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourselves and one another. Heavy on taking care of yourself. So many times we pour into other people and not enough into ourselves. So I definitely want you all to take care of yourself. Andrew says Chic is a great rounded content creator. Hope you see it again. Thank you for that plug. Angie, thank you. And yeah, I want you all to have a wonderful night. It's okay. So where I'm at, not for you, Angie, it is Friday, 12:09. Happy Friday for those of you who are awake on the East Coast, and it is Friday. Happy Friday. Stay tuned. I will be coming back with you, coming back with more content. Likely it'll probably, be centered around politics, current events, and all of that, because it's a lot going on. Catch my video I did earlier this morning if you haven't already. I talked about the plane crashes. I talked about the New York with the congestion pricing thing. Child, I didn't even know that was a whole thing, at least by name. I talked about that. I talked about Ilhan Omar and allegedly her being married to her brother for citizenship. Yes. Allegedly she married her brother. Her second husband was her brother, and she did that for citizenship. So I talked about that. Listen, I got into some things, so definitely check out that live this morning, because it's a lot going on. And y'all know when I got questions, she goes live. I go live when I have questions, because that's what we do as honor students. We ask questions and we seek out answers. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. That's what we do over here. So that's what I promote, and that's why we are the honor students. So welcome, Ivan Rodriguez. You are now an honor student, because that's what this environment is about. I'm a small content creator, growing. I actually have a second channel, Chic Speaks. It's actually a larger platform. This is my smaller platform, but lately I've just been spending all my time over here because I'm just excited about building up this platform. But you can also follow me on Chic Speaks, and also remember I'm on TikTok now. Follow me on Chic Speaks and Chic Speaks on it. That's on the TikTok platform. Dr. J says, I like your hairpin back. Chat. Listen. This I wasn't planning on getting on camera type situation. I took a shower and just put my hair up because my hair is always down. My locks is usually always down. But thank you, Dr. J. Thank you. It's not a leave the house type look I've ever worn before, but I thank you. I just want to tap in with your beautiful people tonight, and you all take care of yourselves and one another. Peace.